Well, joining us is American University Paris professor Hall Gardner. He's author of the book World War Trump. Dr. Gardner, thanks for being with us today. All eyes, of course, are on Syria. Civilian air traffic over the country has been cleared for a military air attack. So what do you think may happen?
Well, I'm hopeful if Trump does anything, it'll be somewhat even more limited than what he did last time. But that doesn't seem to be what's in the works. Let me just backtrack. Trump himself had opposed Obama's strikes, possibility of Obama striking in 2013. Then when he was confronted with similar attacks, chemical attacks, sarin gas at the time, he went ahead and struck with 59 cruise missiles but a very limited effect. And these present attacks are not sarin gas; they appear to be chlorine gas, which Assad has been using periodically in these horrible barrel bombs that his forces have been using on the civilian population for quite a while now. So irony of this is it's not entirely new. But yet the media and international pressures are pushing the United States again into action.
Do we know for certain that this was the Assad regime that did this chemical attack?
No, and we didn't know the previous attacks. There's still questions about the previous attacks that Trump fired 59 cruise missiles against. These things really need a UN investigation and a force that can move in quickly. The peacekeepers are not an interventionary force, but a people that can move in quickly to examine these areas. And this has been very difficult because many of these areas are actually controlled by al-Nusra or radical elements. So even getting people there to investigate is difficult. I just say you can't accuse Assad without absolute proof, but we do know that he's been using barrel bombs for quite a while.
Well, I mean, this if we don't have proof, this thing could spiral into a big war because the Russians, of course, Vladimir Putin is threatening to respond by attacking wherever the missiles are launched from. I mean, what if he hits one of our ships, that kind of thing?
Well, that's exactly right. And that's the escalation of tensions. What happens, and that's why we're in a very dangerous situation. It's not just here in Syria, it's China, Taiwan, North Korea, South Korea, and some other places where everybody's drawing red lines. And as soon as one side crosses the red lines, that forces the other side to respond, or one side to respond because they crossed the red line. So right now, the United States says Russia's crossed the red line or Syria's crossed the red line again, and this could force the Russians to then respond to protect the Syrians. Otherwise, they seem too weak. So Trump's done it once. He got away with it. Russia didn't react. But it's not clear to me they won't react a second time.
Okay, now, 1 year ago, when Trump did act unilaterally, he launched 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles on Syria. This time, it looks like he's trying to bring in some of our allies, Britain and France. What do you think of that strategy? Should he act multilaterally?
Well, I actually think that's even more dangerous because that implies that Britain, France, and in fact, NATO itself is involved in this action in getting NATO, well, even though it won't be official NATO response, it'll look like that to the Russians. And this will cause the Russians to create a bigger buildup against the alliance.
So is Putin bluffing, or is he serious this time?
That's what I'm saying. He can't be shown as weak too often. That's the problem. We're putting Putin in the spot here, and it's very difficult to tell how he'll react. He could react in some other part of the world. Now remember, he's blaming the Saudis, or the Russians are attacking U.S. Support for Saudi Arabia in Yemen, and in many ways that's an even worse crisis in terms of humanitarian situation there than Syria. Though it's horrible to try to compare two conflicts like that. And so this is seen as a very Western hypocrisy, particularly if the British, French, and the Americans all align together. And it will also, by the way, push Russia and China even closer together. And that's what my book World War Trump is primarily concerned with, because if we're pushing Russia and China into a closer alliance, they could react separately at different times, but tacitly support one another.
Okay, Dr. Hall Gardner of American University in Paris. and author of the book World War Trump. Thanks so much for your insights today.
Thank you very much for interviewing me. It was excellent. Thank you.